Hello! Today we are making our second sculpture. It's still a relief, but more complicated and bigger. Now we are going to make it 18 by 18 centimeters. It still will be 1 centimeter thick plasticine, but it will be a composition. So you need to create a composition of flowers, if you use flowers. And I'm creating a composition from orchids. We repeat what we learned during our first relief, and we will learn more. Our composition will be 18 by 18. It's typical tile size. We are doing it on purpose to use them afterwards in your own flat or house. Already not so warm anymore. Again, we're starting with this plinth. Again, I prefer not to use gloves, but you might be different. I love to fill. So we're creating this square shape and raising the level. Again, I use these standard numbers and it will be nearly 1 centimeter high. Tall. At the end it will be ceramic. It's not like sculpture for sculpture. It's very decorative. Again, you can use it in your bath, in your kitchen, as a bit of wall decoration. So you need to decide what sort of composition you want. You can use sketchbook to think. Sometimes it comes when you draw. You draw and finally you see the composition. Some sculptors don't do sketches. Normally I don't do sketches on paper. I love to decide in flesh, in material. I don't like sketch for the sculpture. So sometimes I just preserve my ideas in my notebook, which you saw. But for the sculpture, ceramic or bronze, I draw in the material already. So composition is composition. Again, you are using your own vision, how you want it. Probably I want it like that, not too much. But you could do probably a pot, stems, leaves, flowers. Again, it depends how you see your art. I will be doing simultaneously because this relief I don't want to be so perfect as our first flower, so I won't be so accurate. Okay, what do we have here?
So this is a piece called The Arrogance of Youth. Unfortunately he's lost his horns, but this piece was slip cast using the plaster mould method that we've just discussed. This is the most complicated form I've got.
But it's complicated form.
It's complicated. I've got to say, I didn't make the mould to this.
And by the way, I need to stress for our students that very often sculptors don't do molds at all. Am I right?
They don't.
So there is a specific profession, mold making. It's completely separate thing. It's like casting. We use foundries just because it's completely separate process. But we want you to know about mold making.
Yeah. And I mean, for ceramic work, the moulds that are made are called piece moulds, whereas you wouldn't really use that term for silicone moulds. Piece moulds are because they're made in many pieces, and then they fit within another jacket. It's very complicated.
They're not stretching as these materials, modern materials.
Yeah.
So it's more kind of classical, old-fashioned way to make.
It's the way that we would make the traditional sort of figurative sculpture profession would do. They'd use that method when labour was cheap, materials were expensive. You know, so you could utilise the slip method, and silicone hadn't been invented. So so you'd utilise that method. But this particular piece was made using, I think it was about a 6-part mould, which is actually not very many. And the reason why it's not very many is because all of the undercuts here and here, and these eyes and anything that's complicated, his horns were not part of the mould, were blocked in. So when the piece was removed, it just came straight away without any undercuts.
Remember we were talking about it when we were making our floral reliefs. Undercut.
Yeah.
It's very important.
An undercut is referred to when you've got something which may hook underneath there, and it basically creates a lock, so you can't actually remove the mould without destroying or damaging the piece underneath it. So any undercuts were filled in the modelling process. Then the mould was taken, and then I went back into the slip cast version of the clay, and redefined all the details in the piece. So that's a good cheap way of getting things done. Not the fastest, but it's definitely cheap.
Yeah.
And you can see the hollow. It's hollow inside, and that's how we define a slip cast see the thickness of the clay.
Yeah, thickness, and also we need to emphasize that when you fire things in kiln, yeah, when we fire things in kiln, they must be hollowed, otherwise no chance to get it after firing in one piece.
It blows.
Yeah, it blows. We're building layer by layer. As soon as we get our plinth 1 centimeter thick, we're building our flowers. We think about composition, and it's more your intuition, your vision, not mine, your feelings, how you want these flowers to be here. Normally we start with big masses, so I mark for big flowers and their outlines. At the end, we will be taking mold and having and fill it with firing clay. So you can play later on with colors when you will be making this ceramic bit, ceramic tile. You can keep it in mind. For example, here we are sculpting, but at the final stage you can play with colors and feel this square not only with the sculpture, but with some colors, and you can paint maybe another one at the background, so you can feel quite free. So as soon as we get our outline and the idea of our composition, I'm adding a few stamps because I think it's more beautiful. I decided to use only 2 flowers. In this more complicated relief, we are using both technique, low and high relief. High relief, it's when some mass standing out of the background, it's like here. And low relief when we are squashing our material and we are going into the mass. Probably the best example is ancient Egyptian calligraphy, all these low reliefs in Egyptian pyramids where they cut in, and obviously it's a low relief. Okay, layer by layer we add, and as I said, it's a composition. It's more complicated than our first lessons, but also not very difficult, I think. You can work fast, you can work slow, in your own pace. Very important is to follow your own instincts, your own inspiration, your own feelings. It looks like it's simple, but in fact, you will be having, all of you will be having different results. You will spend different amount of time. There are different methods how to sculpt. sometimes we always need this visual example which we are copying in our own manner. But some masters, as Rodin, for example, one of the biggest French sculptors, he did a lot of nude bodies, and his preferences was to look at them for long, but during creation process he was always alone. He was memorizing it and sculpting in his own pace, without any models around, just did it quietly, because the process of creating sculpture, it's very deep inside of you. You are linking to your deepest levels, and you're expressing you're making not just a copy of something, skull or flower, you're expressing your own feelings. It's a combination of your life experience, yourself, and this particular example which you are copying. We're warming it up constantly. We're warming it up. Our Pleistocene, it's always warm and ready.
The Six Steeds of the Zhao Mausoleum is one of the finest released from ancient China. It was made to commemorate the Emperor Taizong of Tang, who unified China after 100 years of separation due to the invasion of the northern tribes. In its day, the Tang dynasty was the most powerful empire in the world. Due to the Tang dynasty, China did not share the same fate as Europe, with the Roman Empire disappearing permanently in Western Europe. China as an entity survived and maintained its major territory for the next millennium. The early Tang emperors made an allegiance with the Turkish tribes, and they were provided with the finest Turkish horses. In order to commemorate the horses that helped the emperor win many battles, 6 of them were carved and placed in the imperial mausoleum. The horse here is named Salusi. The name derives from the Turkish Isbara, itself a derivation from the Sanskrit Isvara. The Tang Empire enjoyed an open policy, and its capital city, Chang'an, was a great international metropolis filled with merchants from Japan, Korea, and the Middle East. This exotic mix of cultures stimulated local art. The relief demonstrates the greatness of foreign influence and celebrates naturalistic depiction. Due to imperialist influences, this national treasure was unfortunately purchased and collected by the University of Pennsylvania. The Code of Hammurabi was enacted by the 6th Babylonian king, Hammurabi. It is the earliest and most systematic codex in human history. The texts were carved in stone, at the top of which is a relief depicting Hammurabi receiving a scepter from the sun god Shamash. This piece exemplifies how sculpture is related to written language and politics. The relief can be seen as a ritual, conveying an authoritarian ideology to the king's subjects. The most famous entry in the codex is an eye for an eye.
There is no right or wrong. You can use all of these tools to find your own way to sculpt. Either wires or needle, as you know, it's my favorite, even knife. Even you can cut it flat and start all over again. It means nothing. You need to find your own way of expression in this material, in sculpture. Wooden tools, for example, my teacher, he was a fan of this wooden ceramic tool and he was using it always. So let's continue sculpting our flowers. Layer by layer, we're building this composition. In my head, I want to use a bit of low relief here, and I'm squashing this plinth to give this impression that there is a shadow, another flower on the background. And as I said, in ceramic, when we will get our final result, we can paint it and add some color and depth with our paint, with our colors. If you like, you can constantly use and look at your flowers, but as I said previously about Rodin, some of you don't need to look constantly at our model, at our flowers, and you can use just only your imagination, and these flowers will be just guiding point, guiding line in your creativity to sculpt this composition. Also, you see on my table a couple of glasses with water and hot tea. I want really to bring your attention to this. Sculpture, it's a very physical process. You are making a new life with your hands, with your imagination, and it's very important. I discovered it myself when I was younger, to keep yourself hydrated, to sip from time to time some water or some tea. It helps to keep going. My advice is have some water, tea, wine, whatever you prefer, to keep you going, because sculpture is coming from inside of you. You are expressing your own spirit through your hands, and you need to water your flower, to water your imagination, to help yourself keep going. If I share my own experience, I also like listening to some music during sculpting, because it brings me in my special mood. Normally I listen to some music which I love, and it also adds some energy to the process, because sculpture is very physical. You need to be energized. It's not just your inspiration, but it's also these forces which is bubbling, which is bubbling inside of you, and you need to be powerful. You need to be energized. You need to have something more to create another life in your hands. Next session, we will be taking a mold again. We will define our composition, we will find an exact lines, and we will add details, and we use plaster, and we will make a mold. At the end of next session, we will fill our mold with clay to get again a solid product.